Typically, I'm a little more elevated, but we're here at Jordan Hare Stadium. Jordan Hare, whatever, Georgia, with a 27-20 win, a really gutty win for this team. Brock Bowers, amazing on the night. He ended the day with 18 catches for 157 yards, 79 yards after a catch. One of those, I mean, that was a very long touchdown. And I would like to watch the game from a higher perspective. I was on the ground the whole time. But it sure did seem like Carson Beck played well. I don't totally know, but I'll just tell y'all this right now. So a lot of the times I share stuff with this crowd because y'all are our audience, and we really are really appreciative. And before I tell you to sign up for the newsletter, which is right down below, please sign up for it. You can see through the 500 millimeter lens with the Nikon Z9 that we use, you can literally see Carson's eyes get big right when he sees Brock Bowers. 3 times tonight I saw that. One was on the one-handed catch, which didn't count because it lined up incorrectly, or correctly and shouldn't have gone out. And then the other 2 were on big plays to Brock Bowers. Again, 8 receptions, 157 yards. One of my buddies who's been doing this for a long, long time with me, a photographer, he said to me tonight, he's a big Georgia guy. He goes, well, I wonder why they don't target him more. They targeted him 14 times. Georgia, I don't know how many drives Georgia had. I'll try to get to the drive chart. You know, we trust the drive chart. We believe in the drive chart. The drive chart matters a lot to us. And the number one way to kill a drive is to fumble or turn it over. Georgia's turning the ball over way too much tonight. I asked Kirby about that. My numbers were slightly off from what I asked him, but he just put his head in his hands. They got to clean that up. 3 turnovers is just way, way too many for Georgia. And they're not going to win games like that. I mean, the turnover margin was -2, but it was -3 the bulk of the game. And, you know, when you start the game going, you know, and this is okay, driving the ball for 20 yards and then you punt. That's not the end of the world. You get it to midfield. But then you have an interception, touchdown field goal, punt, fumble right out of the gate in the third quarter, right out of the gate. And that turned straight into 14 points for Auburn. Why? Because it's just shorter field, and you're talking about an offense that's just limited. They needed all the help they could get, Auburn. They wound up with 219 yards rushing, which is probably the most you'll see this season for Georgia give up. Georgia only allowed 307 yards. Okay, that's fine. It was just all rushing yards. And once Auburn had to throw the ball I thought this would be a fight. This is why I picked Auburn against the spread. But just this is so Georgia, you know, I'm not worried about is Georgia going to be ranked number 1. They probably will be ranked number 1 tomorrow. But it's one of these things where it's one of these things where, you know, you do sometimes just have to go on the road and win. I mean, that's just it. I'm watching right now, Ole Miss and LSU are scoring about 100 points on each other. The Gators had to go on the road today and win, and they got smothered. So now Kentucky comes to Athens, which could be the biggest game of the year. It's starting to look like that. 2 undefeateds, 5-0, and you lose this game, and you probably will still go to Atlanta, but not certainly. I mean, not certainly at all, actually, and maybe not probably. But you know, Georgia only punted 3 times. That was it, and they were good punts. One was a touchback, but I don't want to bury the lead here. 8 of 13 on third down conversions. Thank you, Lab McConkey. 4 of 4 red zones. Hey, Peyton Woodring came to play today. This is that's probably normal, what we saw today. And if that's what you're getting from the kid, there's a reason why he's out there, y'all. This isn't some conspiracy about how they don't have the best kicker. They got the best players out there. Okay, back to Carson Beck. Hey, beforehand, if you're redoing your backyard, our friends at Eco Poly got everything for you down below. It's the 20-year warranty. These chairs and furniture, I shouldn't just call them chairs, is awesome outdoor furniture. We cannot do it without their support. Do you think it's cheap to come to Auburn? It is not. We have to eat, feed. We did a hotel last night. We can't do that without our friends from Eco Poly. Make sure when you're signing up for the newsletter, I expect every person on here to sign up for the newsletter. The link is down below. Guess what else is down below? Eco Poly. Carson Beck. 23 of 33 with an interception and a touchdown, 313 yards. His long to Brock Bowers. You've seen back-to-back league games where Georgia's been trailing in the second half. Is that going to continue? They could certainly be trailing to Kentucky at the half. So is that going to continue? At some point, you want to play a little better than they have in the first quarter, in the first half. I did not think Georgia was going to lose this game. At the half, in the third, it was a little bit jumpy. But once they tied it and eventually got the lead, I just knew that, part of what, and listen, man, hey, and I really mean this. I thought the Auburn kids really played hard. They fought. He don't have the players right now. I mean, that's just all there is to it. They do not have the players. When you look at this second half and Georgia, outscoring Auburn 20-10, I believe. Is that correct? That is not correct. 17-10. So they narrowly got that. But how many of these drives were legit Auburn drives that they did not get a turnover from? And that's a real problem. And generally speaking, I mean, Auburn gets the ball 3 and out. They get the ball from Georgia. They kick a field goal. I mean, you earn that. Totally. But when you get the ball at midfield and you score a touchdown, that's easy points. And then they punt, then they go downs, then they punt, fumble at the Georgia 32. Now, that old friend, I'm actually going to name his name. My old friend was Dustin Lucky, or is Dustin Lucky. He's one of my old buddies from back in the day, DeKalb County, grad school. And he would just scream and yell at me. Not really, if you know Dustin. He would just say, man, it's not real hard to score from the 30-yard line. It's not real hard to score there. You get the ball at 32, and 3 plays later, you're in the end zone. So let's just see how many times Auburn actually drove the field and got points. First quarter, field goal, 8 plays, 84 yards. And then the rest of theirs go like this. They got an interception, touchdown. They got a kickoff, they had to punt. Got a kickoff, down on downs. I would have kicked the field goal there, but that's me. Punt, get the fumble for the touchdown. They get a ball with the punt, drive it 10 plays for 38 yards, had to punt. Get it back on from a Georgia score, 3 and out. Get it back from a Georgia score, and they drive the field, but they do not score a touchdown. And then they get it back on a field goal. So once Georgia started kicking off to them, they couldn't do anything. I mean, they went 3 and out. They had an interception, and they kicked a field goal that they had to have. But, I feel like, this is going to be a game people remember. And a lot of games are not like that. UAB, nope. Nobody's going to remember that game. Carolina game, no, but they'll remember this game. And this is why this game is going to always be played. This, you just cannot trust it that you're going to come over here and blitz Auburn. There's something about this place. It's really hard to play here. I have to say, I've seen it scarier here. I have. But this is a very limited Auburn offense. I don't know if that will continue for Auburn. And then each game in the rivalry is a different kind of deal. Last year was just not even competitive. The year before that here, I mean, that was a fight. Obviously, 19 was very similar to this. But what are you learning when in the fourth quarter you got to have it and the guy who's been missing field goals knocks in a 38-yarder, just strokes it in, no big deal. And then Auburn answers with a field goal, ties it up. You don't have a lot of time left, about 6 minutes. And they march it down the field. And that 40-yard strike, man, you could just see it coming. Well, I can because I can see Carson's eyes. But, in the fourth quarter, this was that drive. And I took pictures on every play because I knew it was very possible that they could walk the dog down the field on them. And they did. Here's what they did. They went 1st and 10. Cash Jones for 4 yards. Marcus Rosemary-Jack-Saint for 18. -2 yards with DeJean on a first down drive. I don't mind that, though. And then incomplete to Dominic Lovett. And then here comes Brock Bowers. 16 yards converting a 3rd and 2. Carson, they tried to run a quarterback sneak, probably for a touchdown, but he got stopped, 2nd and 11. And then on that play is when Brock Bowers. So Brock Bowers accumulated 56 of their 75 yards. That's a lot. And he's just beasting through people. I don't know if you've seen the photo that I put out there from. It's not a great photo. I got to go through the photos. Y'all don't have any idea how hard this can be sometimes. But in terms of what we do, it's just such a mess. But this guy is just sick. And like, he's so sudden too. For those of us who do what we do, you better be ready. I mean, like, you better be ready, because passing plays are hard enough as it is. But then he doesn't just receive the ball, and then he's breaking tackles left and right. You had better be ready. I'm talking about, well, certainly the defenders, which never seem to be ready. But man, that guy, he is just out here just completely crushing people, man. He is out here crushing people. They can't get on the ball every single time. They can't. But he's Brock Bowers is something else, man. And I texted somebody in the program. Look at Ole Miss and LSU, just going back and forth. They don't care how defense is completely. They are scoring 69 points, and there's a quarter and a half to play in this game. I'm not going to show it to you because of copyright stuff. But damn, I thought Auburn hung in there, man. I thought it was, they just weren't better than Georgia. And then the Georgia defense was, and there's some stuff to clean up there. I think they will probably handle Kentucky slightly easier than they do Auburn, and here's why, okay? A, it's not on the road. B, I really am having a hard time believing that Georgia's going to continue to turn it over 3 times a game, but I was wrong about this game as it relates to that. C, Kentucky's not going to run with their quarterback. And, that really is problematic. If you don't think it is, I don't know what to say. But I have to get these text messages from people. I mean, it was, if it was one thing or another, man, they one thing after another. But I thought Edwards had a solid day. Kendall Milton didn't play. Ladd McConkey mattered a lot for Georgia, converting some of these 3rd downs. But, hey, man, that was a big win. That was a big win for Georgia. And it was these guys are not as good as last year's team. I've said that for some time now. We've established that, certainly last week, maybe the South Carolina game. However, I'm not sure anybody else in college football is that good either. And but we're just going to see what we saw here. I mean, Carson Beck's getting better. And the Georgia defense, Kirby's going to get that right. Like, there may be one more game where someone just comes in and zips it up. And like, if they're playing USC tomorrow, okay, that'd be very challenging for them. But they may match up with SC a little bit better than they do this stuff. And every single week, like, this was like playing Georgia Tech in a way. Like, they were going to run, and they were going to run, and they were going to run, and then they were going to try to surprise you with the throw. They couldn't throw. They were 11-20 with an interception, obviously, from Starks. It just wasn't good. And Auburn played clean football. The other thing too, this kind of surprised to me. Both teams total had 35 penalties, 35 yards in penalties. That was it. That's nothing. Like, so it was a clean game. Auburn, in terms of the way it was played, no procedure. Well, one procedure with Brock, and he just probably lined up wrong. Man, LSU and Ole Miss are just flying up and down the field on each other. This is crazy. That's crazy. This is why LSU is not trustworthy right here, to me. I mean, these guys they're just wide open. So I think if you're Georgia, you got to know and understand that the biggest game of your season is probably this week. I mean, I don't know who Kentucky's got after this. They still have Tennessee, so it still could be a little bit of a battle royale. I mean, the Gators have got only one loss. They beat Tennessee. So this could be a situation where if Georgia wins this game, they could really stranglehold the deal. Same thing for Kentucky, though. So If I were CBS, I would have got this. I know they love Texas A&M and Alabama, and A&M's going to come in with one loss, but this game this next week is a bigger game. I would tell you right now, and well, we actually have a third down in this game, which is amazing. But they're not as good, but they're still probably the best team. And I think what everybody's wanting and expecting is a total mashing of the other side. That may not be who they are this year, but they may lose a game because of that. They may not, though. I mean, if they were going to lose a game, they kind of played two games they, in theory, could have lost, uh, but they didn't. So you start running out of games to lose after a while. But unfortunately for Georgia, there's plenty of games left that they can lose, including next week against Kentucky. I expect them to play well against Kentucky. There's a lot of reasons why, but I expect them to play well against Kentucky. I don't think that this is the greatest matchup for Kentucky on earth. I think that's the challenge for the Cats. Thanks for watching.